Greetings and good day to all. This is the fourth episode of What is Islam? And in this episode, we're going to resume and conclude talking about the Messenger of Islam, Muhammad, peace be upon him. In the previous episode, we spoke about the beginnings of the revelation, and 3 years after the revelation, Prophet Muhammad was commanded to declare his call to Islam, his call to submission to the one and only God. And this led to opposition by the dominant polytheists in Mecca and persecutions by the Meccans. 3 years after the first revelation, Prophet Muhammad was commanded to declare the message publicly and explicitly. Consequently, tensions arise between Prophet Muhammad and his small circle of adherents on the one hand, and the remaining inhabitants of Mecca on the other. The Muslims were persecuted, boycotted, and tortured. Some of them died under torture by the polytheists in Mecca. The Prophet told some of his companions to emigrate to Abyssinia, Al-Habasha, modern-day Ethiopia in East Africa. The polytheists of Mecca sent an emissary to retrieve them, but the Abyssinian king, Negus, or known as Al-Najashi, refused their requests. About 619, both Khadija and Prophet Muhammad's uncle Abu Talib die. We remind you that Prophet Muhammad was under the protection of his uncle Abu Talib, the tribe leader, and the clan leader actually, and another uncle, Abu Lahab, succeeds the leadership of the clan of Hashim, which is one of the clans of the tribe of Quraysh. Abu Lahab withdraws the clan's protection from Prophet Muhammad, meaning that the latter can now be attacked without fear of retribution and is therefore no longer safe at Mecca. After failing to win protection in the nearby town of Al-Taif, Muhammad secures a pledge of protection from a representative number of the inhabitants of the town of Yathrib, also known later on as Medina. This pledge enables Prophet Muhammad and his followers to leave Mecca for Medina, which, unlike Mecca, is partly inhabited by Jewish tribes. Together with Abu Bakr, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the last to depart from Mecca to Medina. It is only because he is warned by Angel Gabriel that he narrowly escaped an assassination plot by the Quraysh. This is a turning point in the history of Islam. It's also called as Hijrah, the emigration from Mecca to Medina, where Muslims now are living freely in Yathrib, in Medina, and establishing their first community and first state. At Medina, Muhammad builds a masjid, a house of worship, and establishes a Muslim community as a state leader. He also drafts a covenant that joins together the believers and submitters, or Muslims, from Mecca and of Yathrib, Medina, as well as some of the Medina's Jewish tribes into a community recognizing Muhammad as the messenger of God. So he became the leader of Al-Medina. 18 months after the emigration, a revelation bids the Muslims to pray in the direction of the Meccan Kaaba, rather than to continue facing towards Bayt al-Maqdis, or Jerusalem. Now, this is also another turning point spiritually, and it shows that it has a significance, because now the direction towards which all Muslims are supposed to pray is Al-Kaaba, and Al-Kaaba was the first house of worship ever established on earth, and it is the direction of prayer for all Muslims around the world till today. Muslims were allowed through a revelation in Quran chapter number 22 verse number 39 to fight against the Arab tribes that were still persecuting them. Just to add a note that Muslims were not allowed to fight back against anyone fighting against them until this moment, which is about 12 years after the first revelation. Many battles took place between the Muslims and the polytheist tribes. The Battle of Badr in 624. The Muslims, aided by angels, score a surprising victory, although they were outnumbered by the Arab polytheists, who were 3 times more than them, and they were also better equipped than the Muslims. In response, the Meccans tried to invade and capture Medina, once in 625 in the Battle of Uhud, and again in 627 in the so-called Battle of the Trench, Al-Khandaq. Both attempts to dislodge Muhammad and his companions are ultimately unsuccessful. In 628, Prophet Muhammad makes the bold move of setting out to perform the pilgrimage or Hajj to Mecca. The Meccans are determined to prevent the Muslims from entering the city, and Muhammad halts at Al-Hudaybiyah, which is a region near on the edge of the sacred territory of Mecca. A treaty is concluded between the two parties. Hostilities are to cease, and the Muslims are given permission to make the pilgrimage to Mecca in the following year. The following year, Prophet Muhammad and his followers performed the pilgrimage as stipulated by the Treaty of Al-Hudaybiyah. Subsequently, however, an attack by Meccan allies upon Muslims leads to the latter's denunciation of the treaty with the Meccans, simply because the polytheists have breached their pledge, and they have acted against the Treaty of Al-Hudaybiyah. In 630, he marches a substantial army on Mecca of 10,000 warriors. The town submits, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, declares an amnesty for all of those who fought against him and killed many of the companions. And this was a great declaration by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, showing no intention of revenge and retaliation. And from that moment onwards, many polytheists started becoming Muslim and embracing Islam. And all the statues of the polytheists that were surrounding and inside the Kaaba were demolished. After his return to Medina, Prophet Muhammad receives deputations from various Arabian tribes who declare their allegiance to the Muslim polity and announcing their acceptance of Islam. Byzantine troops started marching towards the Arabian Peninsula, and the Muslims under the Prophet's leadership took preemptive military measures. Still, in 630, Muslims embark on a campaign to the Syrian border and reach Tabuk, where they secure the submission of various towns on their way. Prophet Muhammad personally leads the pilgrimage to Mecca in 632, which is known as the Farewell Pilgrimage. He dies in June 632 in Medina. The following of his closest companions succeeded him in leadership, chronologically ordered: Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali. Thus, we have concluded this part about the life of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We tried to be as concise as possible. And in the next episodes, we're going to talk about the Quran, the holy book of Muslims, and the teachings of Islam. Until then, take care of yourselves, and thank you for listening, and have a nice day.